Hi, my name is Terry Lee, and this is video 3 in our Template Keeper series. I've made a couple of changes, not in the construction, but I changed here's my notes, so I'm going to have to read off of these for this particular video because there's measurements and things. I changed the paper kit. I combined two kits. One is called Collage Pages by Janie B. So I've combined these papers with these planer papers. Whoops, there's the bonus tags. These planer papers called Paper and Lace by My Porch Prints. So it's hard to see on camera maybe, but this looks like lace on top of the paper, and this one does. You might be able to see it better on there. And then the ones like this, there's some in here, I just don't want to flip through the whole thing, that look more like burlap, and these are the ones that I selected out of this kit, and then the rest so far are going to come from the collage papers. All right, and the links are going to be in the free PDF that you get if you are a member of the Sweet Pea Papers Facebook group. Okay, and I also cut off those little small tabs. You know, when you have one of these envelopes, remember before we made the template so we could cut out around? Well, I decided I didn't want to use the template. I want to cut a template even though I already had one. So I just cut this little piece off right here, and then that made it straight across like this right here, straight across, and then everything comes out rectangles. So this is the part of the envelope that goes inside. Okay, once again I'm trying a new camera angle so hopefully I'm not making anybody dizzy. All right, now for this you're going to need and I have an extra one on here that I read the first time that I did this video. This is the second time that I'm not sure that we actually need them. So I am going to double check when we're making them, and I think I added 2 extra pieces. So we're definitely going to need 4 pieces that are 5 5/8 by 8 5/8. We're going to need 4 pieces that are 4.5 inches by 8 5/8. The 8 5/8 is the width. That's why it's the same. We're going to need 4 pieces that are 1.5 by 8 5/8. So the 1.5s, I don't have all of them cut. I'm not going to make you watch me glue all of them on, just so you know, are going to slide inside the envelope and cover the area between where we glued them together. So in between the inside of the envelope and where the next one folds. In fact, I glued 2 on, and then I realized that I wanted to show you the numbering, because you guys know I number everything. So they're going to look like this. This one here where the envelope goes in, and this one here where the envelope goes in. All right, so you're going to have the colored ones. So you need 4 of those. You're going to need the 4 at 4.5 by 8 5/8, and those are going to go on these smaller ones, which are the backs of the envelopes. Okay. Okay, right here. And then you're going to need the this is the one of the ones for the other side. Then you're going to need big ones to cover the envelopes themselves. And I decided on one plain one in the middle and then two patterned ones. So you're going to have to decide what you want to do. You want to have complementary papers. You also want to remember that you're going to be pockets and tucks and everything over the tops of them. So I don't have all my papers cut out, like I said, yet. And I don't have, I'm not going to make you watch me glue all of them down. There's just a couple things I want to show you. So we are going to glue on a couple. So the first thing we're going to do, as you know, if you've watched my other videos, you're going to number the sections. All right, so this section is going to be the front cover. So I labeled it front. I didn't label it one. I labeled it front. Then the next, oh, you're going to want to lay it out so the envelope front is on one end and the flap with the sticky side up is on the right end. Not the correct end, but the right end. The right of our group here. Okay, so you got cover and then one, and this would have been 1A, this little one. And then you have 2, 3, 3A, and 4 is this inside flap. Then you're going to flip it over. So that's going to make the flap on the left end this time. That's going to be 5. Then we're going to have 6. And then 7A and 7. Then 8. Then 9A. And then 9. Okay? Now, let me look here. The flap is going to be on the back. Once you close this up, okay, here we go. Duh. We're going to have a front and then on the back. So number 3 is going to be the back. And then number 5 is going to be the flap on the back. And 4 will be the inside on the back. All right. Was that clear as mud? Okay. So now if you, I added in a brad. I'm not going to use one. But if you want to have a brad so that when it's closed, you can take a string or whatever you want to use, waxed thread or whatever, and wrap it around the outside to hold it shut. So this is your back, and the brad would be in the flap, and then you would wrap your string around a couple times and then tuck it through, and then that would hold it shut. So we'll talk about that when the time comes, but I just thought that you might want to know that I did have that idea afterwards. So when you see the list of things that we need for this section, you'll notice that I added a brad. Okay, so now if you're going to use one, it's going to be on 4 and on 5. And you're going to want to mark the brad and then the top, because you're going to go ahead and paper the top before you put the brad in. And then you're going to label this brad here. I'm going to make it a little dot. It's not going to necessarily be the exact dot. And then put bottom and then no paper yet, because you don't want to paper it until you put the brad in. Spread those little pieces out, and then you want to cover over the top of it. All right. So you want to select complementary papers, like I was saying. So I've got the narrow pieces as the decorative pieces. I have one that I cut too small. Okay. And then the plain piece in the middle, like I mentioned. And then on the other side, I'm going to have the tan pieces on the inside. I have an extra one. Maybe that's why I wrote down the wrong amount. We don't need 4. I was going to put the same color on both sides, and then I changed my mind. So that's why I have the extras. So I don't need these green ones. Now, also, when you cut your papers, number them the number of the section that they're going to go on. This is number 1, and it goes on number 1 when you put the papers down. Okay? The other way to do it is to pick out your papers and keep the big sheet and do them one at a time, and then you don't have to number the papers. Me, I cut all the papers, lay them out, make sure I like everything, and then I go down the row and glue them on, whichever way is easier for you. Okay? So you're going to, like I said, you're going to cut the papers and number them, and then you're going to ink everything. On a side note, since I changed papers, I wish that I had used a different colored ink, but I went ahead and went with it, and it looks okay on these plain ones, what I'm calling plain ones. I haven't inked any of these yet. Actually, I have inked this one, and it looks fine as well. But I do wish I had gone with a lighter or a different color that was more complementary. But the contrast is okay too. But so I'm sorry if you got the other papers and then inked it up, and now, you know, if you're going to change your papers, you're having some sort of a inking or paper regret. So most people wait until all of the videos are out in a series and then watch them in a row. So that's why I didn't feel too bad about changing the papers. Okay, so I am going to put you on pause and finish inking the papers. And I may have one more to cut. Yeah, I think I do. And so I'm going to set these aside to be inked. I think this one, yeah, this one's been inked as well. So these all need to be inked. Yeah, you can see the edge of this is the dark color and the edge of this is too. So you don't necessarily have to ink over the edges. You can if you want, but you do want to knock the white off of here. You don't want to be able to see the white, depending on your paper, I guess, if you're using white envelopes. One other thing I wanted to tell you real quick, when you're cutting your papers, we're going to use some of these to make pockets and such. So it might behoove you to do like I do, which I know is nutty, I know, but when I cut a piece of paper, with these we have set sizes and we're cutting multiples of them. So you're going to have set sizes of offcuts as well for where you cut the end off. So I put them together. You can see there's more than one. They're all the same size. Then when I cut the long strips, I had some the same size. And then when I cut the bigger pieces of this same, I have this other size. Okay? And I made a mistake, so I never even cut that off. But these are all the same width, pretty much. And then these are from cutting the strips. They're the opposite sides. So I'm keeping them all together in there, grouping them, because it is going to be helpful when we go ahead and add these little guys in, and any other thing that we want to add in. We will have little offcuts that we can use to cover the backs and things like that. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about the fact that this has the wrong paper on the inside. And that I have to redo it because it's only one that I have to redo. So I am all good. All right, so that's the side note for that. Now you're definitely going on pause, and I'm going to finish this up, and then we will come back. Okay, we're back. I've got all my papers cut except for the one, the one for the cover. I also haven't done this flap right here because I'm not planning on covering mine, but I will show you because I actually would just square this off. I wouldn't see how the edges go in a little bit. I wouldn't really cut the taper, but if you're following along and you've cut the taper and all that, then you know that's fine. So what we're going to do is I've numbered the papers so that they go with the page, so it's okay for me to take them off. Now this side is going to have one more paper, I believe, maybe not, than the other side. Oh, because I haven't cut the front, that's why there's one more. All right, so I'm going to take these and I'm going to set them off to the side, and we're going to work with these little ones first. And the reason is because they go down inside, and then we're going to glue them. And the best way to do this that I've found, and in fact I'm going to turn this around because the way the envelopes are facing, I'm going to turn it upside down. Because the easiest way I found is to go ahead and put the paper in where you want it, and then to lift it up and glue it in place. And like I said, you'll see on here, not only do I have the measurements, but I have notes to myself as well. It's going to get covered with the paper. Oh, and I inked everything. I had a good old time while you guys were on break. While you guys were on spring break, I was busy. even though I'm filming this in January, you're with the schedule that I have set up, you're actually not going to see this probably until April, because I'm a little ahead on my filming because I really like doing this. So yeah, I'm a little bit ahead. Because I tend to make 4 and 5 parters, so by the time I get one done, you know, it's a couple weeks worth of videos. So depending on how far ahead I get, I may go to 3 days a week instead of 2. I just, because of my health, I don't want to get tied into something. I'd rather do, you know, like a bonus video released on Saturday or something as a Saturday surprise than get tied into having to do one, you know, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or whatever. Right now I'm doing Monday and Thursday. Okay, so see how easy it is to glue those in. And I had already done this side, and you'll notice I did green ones on this side. Okay, so the order that I decided we're going to glue these in is we're going to glue 1 and then 1A. I'm not doing the front yet. I have not decided what I want to put on the cover. So I'm going to go back to these that say inside 1 through 4. Yes, it's a paperclip queen. Do you guys want to see my magnet? I have this huge magnet, and I have all these paper clips stuck to it. And then my lamp is made out of metal, so I have it stuck to my lamp. I don't know if I can stick it back now. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, on a side note, this is number 3, this is number 2. That means by elimination, this is number 1. So we're just going to glue this on. So remember, you're going to do your 2 little ones first, and then you're just going to start gluing and gluing and gluing. Now, the only different ones are the flaps for the ends. and I'll tell you what the measurements for those are. Let's see, now this has writing on it, so I want to make sure to get it right side up compared to the other side when I flip it over. Okay. All right. So, like I said, I wish I had inked this in a different color, but it's just for me. I'm not giving it as a gift or anything. It's just for me to store templates in. So I decided I could live with it instead of starting all the way over on a different one. So then we're going to glue number 2 in, and it's going to be a bigger one because it's going to go on an actual full size, what would normally be the front of an envelope. So we're going to glue that on. I'm getting to be super speedy on the gluing. This one, it doesn't matter. You'll notice there's a couple of ink smudges on it. I dropped the ink pad on it, but it's going to be covered with what am I trying to say? Pockets. Anyway, it does look like I need to move it up a little bit though before the glue dries. Let's slide it up just a little bit, and then make sure it all glues back down. I really like these ones that look like the burlap. I showed you these, right? That look like the burlap. I really like that. I like both of these kits a lot. Okay, now this is going to be the back. So I originally had picked out one that had like a map inside of the collage, and I really liked it, but I cut it the wrong size, and I'm having a printer failure right now. I just got my new one and it's amazing. I got a $240 printer for $130, so I went for it. So it's an office jet, not a desk jet, and it works really well with photos, and then it also has a scanner and a photocopier, which a lot of the office jets are just printers. So now this has text, but the text is vertical, so it doesn't matter. You can put it in either way. I'm going to put the text at the top. There's a possibility that I am going to, in case you're wondering, I was sliding it. This is the pocket right here. So I want to make sure, I seem to be, because this is towards me and I'm not standing up looking straight down at it. You want to try to get these across the bottom as straight across as possible. Now some of these where you've got your overlaps are going to be a little bit harder. This one is a little wrinkly. I think I made a mistake when I glued it. So see, that's how quickly you can be done with a side. That didn't take very long at all. So you're just going to flip it over. You're going to do the exact same thing on this side. And then when we get to this, the flap, if you were going to cover it, maybe I'll go ahead and cover it, and then if I add more to it, I'll just repaper it. That way I can show you. Okay, I'm going to put you on pause just for a second. Okay, we're back. I'm all glued up. How about you? All papered up. Everybody's papered. It looks a little wonky. My papers are straight, but my envelopes are crooked. I still haven't decided on the front. Well, actually I have, but my printer, my new printer, like I said, the black ink was out when I got it, so I wasn't even able to use the, provisional ink, the little bit of ink they put in there to print out just this one page that I wanted. So I'm going to have to wait on that one. I'm going to have to wait until part 4. But I did decide to go ahead and show you how to do the brad. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to go ahead and glue number 5, and that's going to be what's going to be the outside of the back. Okay, it's going to be like this. So you're going to have your cover, your front, and it's going to open like this, and then like that. Okay, whoops, I'm sorry, totally off camera. Now I've got it folded up backwards again. Like that. All right, so it's going to be like this, open like that, and then open like that. And then on the back, when you close it up, look, I did it. When you close it up, it's going to look like this. So this is going to be the outside of your closure. Now, if you want to put a brad on here and run the string around and then just put like a Velcro dot or something here to hold this shut, I think that would totally work, especially if you had a clear Velcro dot. I would recommend putting one on either side because you're going to have that little bit of thickness from the brad right here. Like I said, I'm planning on adding more, but I'm going to go ahead and put the brad in without the paper on it, just to show you how to do it. Okay, now what you would do is you would go ahead and paper the side, which is side number 5. That's going to be this outside piece. So you would paper this first, and you would not paper this because you're going to want to cover up where the brad opens on the inside. So you're going to find your center. I'm going to erase this dot before it distracts me to distraction. So we're going to find the center. Also, let me mention, I cut my papers square. So even though this tapers in a little bit, my papers are going to, well, be the opposite. But my papers are going to meet up square on both sides. In other words, I'm going to glue one down, and then I'm going to, I'm going to flip it over, and you'll see a little teeny bit on either side because of the taper. You see this little bit here and this little bit here. It looks like I broke the ink off my pencil, or the lead. So when you go to glue this side, once you put the brad on, you'll just glue paper to paper right here. So you're going to have this laid out flat, and then you'll glue this paper here, but in the corners you're going to be glued paper to paper. Oh, I see. There's not enough lead in there for it to stay out. That's what it is. I need to put some more lead in there. All right, so what that means is you can't measure the center from here. You have to measure the center from across the wider width because your paper's going to be wider and it won't look like it's in the center. Okay, so we're going to start on number 5. We're going to measure the center. We're going to start from here. Okay, this is, I'm going to call that 8 3/4 just to make it easy. So then you're going to want to go in, let's see, 4 1/2 and an 1/8. So that's 4 5/8. In from the widest point. So let's do it this way. 4 5/8. Make a little mark. Oh, we're going to make our little mark with a pen. I'm going to move it in. We're still at the widest part, but I just don't want it to show. 4 5/8, which is right there. I just want to make a little dot. Okay, I can see where it is. And then we're going to want to make a straight line. And lightly make a straight line. And you don't want to go all the way to where you're, oh, it doesn't matter on this because we are going to be covering it clear to the edge, actually. And then just make a dot a little ways back in. Okay, and then you're going to want to poke a hole. And you're going to want to make it a little bit wider because you see when you put this through, it's not thin like a pin. These are kind of wide. Plus you're going to want to have enough space underneath to tie the string. And then when you run it around, you're going to want to wrap it around. So you're going to want to poke a hole. The only reason I'm not doing this flat is because I don't want to poke a hole in this work surface. So what I'm doing is I'm poking through and I'm pushing it in all the way to the widest part and pulling it back out. All right. Now, in your case, the paper would already be on here. All right. Then you would poke the hole. So you'd have to make a light mark with a pencil that you could erase. You would put the brad through the hole. Then when you get on this side, get it started like that. And then you push this down in between, just like that. And then you rock it to either side. And it flattens it out completely. Okay. Now you see why you want to do this paper last. I didn't know how to do this. I've never done it before, so I actually made a little bit of a dent in that one. There we go. So now it's down flat. Make sure it's not too tight. Just pull up on a little bit. You want to be able to have enough room to do your thread. Okay. Then go back here. Kind of flatten it down. Now if I were you, I would put a little piece of tape of some sort over this. And then you're going to take your paper. No, you're going to cover the end of your pokey tool. That's what you're going to do. So you don't pokey yourself. And then you're going to put the paper on the inside covering this. And then you'll be done covering your thing there. This will already have paper on it. Put the brad in, flip it over, tape over this to make it more smooth. Now remember, you're going to want to push on it so that it's flat against. You could even put some glue on it because what you want is for it to stick up a little bit. You don't want to have it stick up on this side. You don't want to have this pushed flat when you put the paper on because you see that little gap right there. There's a little gap. You want that little gap to be on this side here. There's a little gap for the string to go around. So I would put the tape on holding it like this, or I would put glue on underneath each one of these. And then I would hold it like this so that it glued flat to the paper and then still gave you your little space around. So that's how you do that. I'm going to take this back out because I'm not going to use one. I'm going to probably add more. So I'm just going to leave my papers off here too, and I'm going to use these two papers for what the real end is going to be. Okay, so that's the end of this one. And then at this point, you probably would have already glued your front on. I just can't print my front out right now, so I can't glue it on. So at this point, you would have your front, and you would have everything else glued, all your papers. Then you would have your back, and you would have your brad ready to go. Okay, then you're going to have an envelope here. Don't worry about the Velcro yet. Just remember when we're putting pockets and things on that this is the back. So you may not want to put something here, or if you do, you want to make sure it's something that's not going to fall out. And then you have your papers here. On the inside, you'll have two more. So that's why I recommend making it a little bit bigger than this. If I make mine bigger, I'll do it off camera, and then when I come back, I'll have it bigger and all papered. It will be once I get ink, since I'm way far ahead on filming these. Okay, well, that's the end of this video, and I will see you in the next video, and that'll be just a second for you, but a day for me. Bye-bye.